Hello, welcome to Elle Said What? And I am sorry if I'm a little late, but I've got a little dog here who's determined, to get boiled egg in all of his meals. So just a second and we'll get started. What I want to talk about today, I want to talk about Brad Holder. That's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about Brad Holder. And after I discuss Brad Holder, what I'd like to know is if you all think that the defense deserved a dismissal, because the defense says that exculpatory evidence has been destroyed. That's the word the defense used in its motion, destroyed. Now, the state is saying that interviews with Brad Holder, the defense knows there's one and believes that there's two interviews with Brad Holder. And according to the state, that interview with Brad Holder was accidentally recorded over. Hi, Spectrum of Thoughts. Thanks for joining me. Hi, Me and Mine's Fur Baby is being demanding. I know it's late in the UK, Simon, so thanks for joining me. Hi, Larice. Thanks for stopping by. So, who is Brad Holder? Now, somebody mentioned 3 cell phones in the last live, and I'm working my way through the defense's motion. I'm working my way through the defense's, memorandum that it attached with a motion, the 136-page memorandum. So remember, everything that I'm saying is coming from the defense, which means it has a bias against the state and for the defendant, Richard Allen. So Brad Holder is the father of Logan Holder. And Logan Holder was dating 13-year-old victim Abigail Abby Williams. Hi, legend. So, according to the defense's memorandum, this is not in dispute that Abby was dating Brad Holder's son. And Brad Holder allegedly is the leader of a group called the Vinlanders. 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 So, Brad Holder, another man, Patrick Westfall, Johnny Messer, and then another man, Elvis Fields. Those are 4 men that the defense says that these men were not properly vetted. And Brad Holder is, the defense is basically saying, is the leader of the crew, the Vinlanders. And the defense says that Brad Holder is an Odinite, or at least he was a practicing Odinite, and that there is a 25-minute video taken in Fort Wayne, Indiana, where Brad Holder is behind the camera and Patrick Westfall enters onto the scene. He can be seen on the camera, and that they're performing a religious Odinite ceremony. Now, for the people who think that Richard Allen is guilty, if you take the defense at face value, if you take the defense at its word, okay, Brad Holder practicing Odinite, and Brad posts images on his Facebook that mimics the crime scene before any crime scene photos were leaked. But I want to get into what Amber Holder said in her interview to police. And according to the defense, this is located in an 85-page report called the Odin Report. What's that, Me and Mine? So if you're in the audience, if you know, is Amber Holder, is she the wife or ex-wife of Brad Holder? Because I don't know who Amber Holder is to Brad Holder. So Amber said, listen to this. Brad spoke of Patrick one time, Patrick being Patrick Westfall. Brad spoke of Patrick one time when he was intoxicated and said that he and Patrick got into a fight and they no longer speak to each other. He told her that he and Westfall were in the woods near a river conducting a ritual. One of them said or did something that the other did not agree with, and they no longer talked to each other. She said the river was near Patrick's house. Brad Holder has photos with Patrick Westfall on Facebook as late as January 21st, 2017. According to the defense, there are no photos of Brad Holder and Patrick Westfall together after February 13th, the day that Abby and Libby were murdered. So Patrick Westfall lives in Delphi. And the the whole cult things gives you shivers, me and mines. Well, if it is true, if you can look at the photos of the images that Brad Holder posted on his Facebook page, and those photos look a lot like mimic that crime scene before crime scene photos were leaked. I think that matters. So Patrick Westfall was living in Delphi when Abby and Libby were murdered, and he was like a 7-minute drive to the closest entry point where the girls were murdered. So there's a cemetery. There's a cemetery that's an entry point to that wooded area. And Patrick Westfall, friend of Brad Holder, the defense says 7-minute drive. Now, remember, the defense is also saying a copycat ritual, possibly. But the defense is saying that they don't believe that one person could have committed this crime. So if you're listening, if you're believing what Abby, I mean, what did I say her name was just a minute ago? If you're believing, what this witness says, Amber Holder, that she describes Patrick and, she describes Brad Holder telling her about he and Patrick being together at the river conducting a ritual and that they got into it. One did something the other one didn't like. Now, listen, that means, right? Either you don't believe it's Bridge guy looks to be alone, or somebody would have had to, I don't know, meet up with Bridge guy after the girls went down the hill. So Patrick is living close to the crime scene. Brad Holder's son Logan is dating Amber, and Brad Holder reportedly, he and Patrick Westfall are Odinites at the time of the murder. So Brad Holder said he spent every weekend in Delphi hanging out with Patrick Westfall. And Brad Holder told investigators supposedly that he participated in as a true religious ceremonies on Sunday. Same day everybody else going to church or, you know. Hi, Rochelle. Thanks for stopping by. So they're practicing overnights. You can connect Brad Holder to Abigail if Brad's son is dating Abby. So Amber Holder told a second story. Listen to this. So Amber Holder's interviewed a second time, and she said she had gone over to Brad Holder's house to visit. And according to Amber, the kids are upstairs, and Amber asked about Brad and Patrick. And Amber is pretending that her girlfriend had a date with Patrick. So Amber is pulling off a ruse because I think Amber might have been disturbed by what she claims she was told the first time by Brad. Now, Amber says Brad became very nervous and told her that she needed to stay away from Patrick Westfall or she would end up dead. That's in quotation marks. She said Brad told her that Patrick Westfall and his crew also in quotation marks, was responsible for the murders of the girls in Delphi, unquote. And that a fire had killed two girls. I asked her if she knew of the fires in Florida that killed four girls, and she said she was not familiar with any fires that killed any children until Brad Holder mentioned it to her that day. She said, this is Amber Holder talking. She said Brad may have been talking about that fire, but had the number of killed wrong. She said Brad told her that Patrick Westfall and his crew had friends in several states and that they have no problem killing, quote, race traitors. So if you believe Amber Holder's account, Brad Holder is afraid of Patrick Westfall. Now, it goes on to say that Amber Holder was asked to clarify race traitor. And she said she thinks it means white people who, quote, mix with other races. Remember, the defense is saying this is an Odinism invaded by white nationalism and that the murders are ritualistic. I am so glad that you caught my live too, Rochelle. Now, why did who lie, legend? You know, I don't know that Amber Holder is lying. Rochelle, do you know Amber Holder's relationship to Brad Holder? Is she a cousin? She is sister. I can't find their relationship. I do know that I have a smart audience because it was actually somebody in my audience who left me a comment about the fire in Florida that killed four little girls. And so now, before Amber left, she said that Brad told her, stay off of Westfall's radar. And I can only protect you so much if you keep asking questions. Amber is risking her neck, y'all. Amber is risking her neck. I mean, she was pulling a rules. The defense says by even bringing Patrick Westfall up to Brad Holder again. Amber is brave. I'm going to give her that. He also, Brad Holder also told Amber that if Westfall found out she was married to him, okay, Amber is Brad's wife. They don't live together. That she's married to him, she'd be in danger. So Patrick Westfall, according to this, does not know that Amber is Brad Holder's wife. Brad also questioned her on why Westfall would be going on a date, that he was under the impression that Patrick Westfall was married or engaged to be married. So how many statements has Amber made? Listen, I'm only on about 75 page, gotten to about 75, page 75 in the document. So I'm at two statements, Simon. And I'm going through this with the audience. I read over it to see what the defense's legal strategy is. But as far as the details, I kind of go over it with you all. You know, Rochelle, I listen. Amber is already badass, and I hope she's safe. I hope she's safe. But how close are Patrick Westfall and Brad Holder? That he's not sure if Brad is married, but he thinks if Patrick's married. But Brad thinks Patrick Westfall is married or engaged, and Patrick does not know that Brad is married to Amber. I thought in a small town everybody knew everything about each other. So the defense, the defense trips me out the way that it poses questions to the court in its motions and in its briefs. Imagine being an investigator trying to solve a horrible murder, having learned all this information. What would a good investigator do? Listen, Baldwin and Rozzy are bold and jazzy. So now, listen, I'm telling you what the defense is saying linked Brad Holder to this crime. But listen, Liggett of the Uniform Command Center, that investigator, the defense says that, right, he showed interest in Patrick Westfall, at first, and then he let it go. He let it go. This case is nuts. These men, according to the state men minds, are not suspects. Okay? According to them, they checked into this and there's no there. But as I'm reading and what I was reading earlier yesterday and today, you know, if this is true what the defense is saying, I think a jury should hear it. So the Facebook photo, I talked about this in a different video. April 7th, 2017. Keep in mind, the girls were murdered February 13th, 2017. So, Facebook photos. Holder posted a photo of a hand marked with the exact rune found on Abby's body. So he has this image inked onto his hand, like from an ink pen. It looks like not a tattoo. And according to the defense, Brad Holder is proudly showing off the same ruin that the killers laid on Abby's body using sticks. He plays dumb. Patrick Westfall plays dumb. Well, you know, if Brad Holder is saying Patrick Westfall is connected, considering there are guards in the Indiana State Prison and other inmates in Indiana prisons who are Odinites, I do have to wonder. I do have to wonder if Patrick Westfall is connected. Another inmate who testified at a hearing that, yeah, the guards are calling Richard Allen kid killer. I would imagine there are some inmates that are tormenting him too. So what the state is doing is saying we don't see the similarities. We don't see the similarities that the defense sees between anything going on, and I mean anything from the Facebook photos, you know, to whatever. We don't see any similarities that the defense sees from Brad Holder's Facebook page. And Elvis followed Brad Holder on Facebook and he mimicked Brad Holder a lot. Do you think that Richard Allen is a copycat legend? So investigator Holman, the defense, like I said, just won't admit that these two images even look alike. And, you know, they refer to another cop as Honest Cop Murphy. Baldwin and Rozzy do keep me entertained. Okay. So you all know what I thought about sketch number one and sketch number two. Two different men. Two different men. Now, Liggett, investigator Liggett was claiming sketch one and sketch two was the same man and that they're both Richard Allen. I think that's ridiculous. But I don't know. I really don't know. You know what I mean? How much of that would be allowed into trial? She tells the truth, but I'm not sure in which statement. There are more statements I'm going to come across, Simon. Well, listen, is Amber a wife that could be scorned? Could she be scorned? In high profile cases, there are people who will try to insert themselves and pretend to know things about the case. And then I've got a short on my channel, a true story, where a woman falsely confessed for herself and her boyfriend. And they went to prison until the smiley face killer was caught. So, okay. So, Liggett is saying there are only minor differences between sketch one and sketch two. I think that's BS. And does anybody know why Judge Diener recused himself, the original judge? Might have said, I'm too old for this. So, the Winters report. Now, the defense says that two troopers were aware of an image on Brad Holder's Facebook page of what looked like You guys, a fake murder scene, mimicking Abby and Libby's murder scene. And it shows these two girls lying on what appears to be the ground in the forest, and the girls are posed like they're deceased, and the girls have tree limbs arranged over their bodies. Now, in the Facebook photo, the girls are dressed, and the limbs on the girls aren't arranged exactly like the limbs and sticks on Abby and Libby, but the similarity is, it's eerie if that's true. So the defense is saying Trooper Purdy didn't think that this photograph implicated Holder in 2000 and 2023. I would really want to know. Judge knows something we don't. It is a small town. Delphi's a community of 3,000 people. So this is uncorroborated, you all. This, the state hasn't corroborated all of this. This is the defense's side of the story. But, the defense did include exhibits of the Facebook photos. So remember, Brad Holder is Logan Holder's dad. And, they started getting tips. The father of Logan Holder, ex-boyfriend of Libby, shows, social media shows him a member of the Vinlanders. So you've got, you know, witnesses, and one of them being, Ryan Boucher, trying to get Carroll County law enforcement to investigate Brad Holder. That has to trip you out to look at his Facebook page. And then when the crime scene photos are leaked, you realize how close the 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 photos are to the images that he posted. So you guys, I don't know. Libby did have contact with, the guy that Simon calls KK. He was charged with 25 counts of child exploitation, child SA. He had a catfish account pretending to be younger so that young girls would send him pictures. He was in Peru, Indiana. He's claiming that, he has information about the murders. I don't think that he left Peru, Indiana that day. I think he's withdrawn his guilty plea. I think he knows that life is over. Rochelle, you think that Keegan Klein does know a lot more? He claims to, that piece of garbage. I don't know, but I'm starting to really wonder though if Patrick Westfall is connected. Right? So I want to show you all, right, what the defense says was destroyed. Now, destroyed tends to kind of insinuate, you know what I mean? They took a hammer to it, dropped it in acid. But it was taped over. Brad Holder's police interview was taped over accidentally, according to the state. This has to have been the biggest crime. How? Just how? How? How are, right, the cell phones? So he knows. Rochelle, you are letting me know something. You're letting me know something. Rochelle, what do you think? Do you think Bridge Guy? Do you think Bridge Guy is the perpetrator, Rochelle? The defense still has not received any kind of copy of that February 17th, because Brad Holder was interviewed in 2017. The defense said they haven't gotten like even a transcribed version. It really does cause you to lose a little faith in the police when they say that interviews of in my opinion, a definite person of interest that their interview was accidentally recorded over. So Brad Holder created a creepy painting of a man believed to be Odin hanging upside down for a tree. Now the myth is that Odin, killed himself on the tree of wisdom with his legs posed similar to Abby's at the crime scene. The painting also contains two hidden Easter eggs, including, excuse me, including a red F rune at the base of the tree, just like the F rune painted on the tree at the crime scene. Well, is Brad Holder just running around, free as you please? Now, this is at a time that the tree photo was before the crime, Simon. Well, and the crime scene, the crime scene photos had not been released either. They're saying, but that does show that he was a practicing Odinite. How with the girls have been seen as race traitors. I don't know. Yeah, it was 2/7. The date in the corner of the defense says, Simon, that they believe it was done in February. It was done February 17th, 2018. That there's a date up in the corner of that painting. So that would be the 1 year anniversary. February 17th, 2018. That would be what, 3 or 4 days, just 3 days after their bodies was found. So you guys think that's just a fluke that Brad Holder? Well, Rochelle, when the state says that the bodies were moved, I don't know if the state is saying they believe the bodies were moved a few feet or if the girls were killed in an entirely different location and then moved to that area. I don't know. But this KK guy, I'm not convinced about him, Rochelle. I'm not convinced. I think he's trying to get out of those 25 charges of child SA and child exploitation. Now, they're talking about the ceremony that Brad Holder videotaped in Fort Wayne in 2016. And at the beginning of the video, Brad Holder is seen as the person. You can see that he's videotaping a religious ceremony. And in the last few minutes of the video, when the alleged Odinites are dumping water at the base of the tree, you see a man that looks like Patrick Westfall enter onto the scene. Once he's at the tree, you can see this person use his hand. Excuse me, you can see this person use his hand to mark the tree. But the viewer can't see what mark the person presumably made on the tree. This person, presumably Westfall. So the marking similar height from the base of the tree as the marking of Libby's blood was in the crime scene photos. So that video was sent, that video that I just talked about, that was sent directly to Investigator Liggett. And Liggett is saying what? He doesn't know where this video is. The defense said that the state is saying they don't know who the Purdue professor is that they talked to about Odinism, where that report would be. And then the defense said they don't even know that they did talk to a professor. I think sometimes Baldwin and Rossi can exaggerate, but I definitely get their point. So Rochelle said he was placing a stone high in the tree. Well, that's convenient. That's convenient. It could be true. Well, legend, the state says they believe that the crime scene was staged. Okay, so Simon, the bullet and the phone point to the girls not moving very far. Who would have returned the bodies to a phone and a bullet? Right? They probably were only moved a few feet, Simon, the bodies anyway. staged like they were. So, what do you all think about Brad Holder? What do you all think about Brad Holder? His son was dating Abby. He's an older knight. He's seen doing religious ceremonies. They're messing around with the base of the tree. The Facebook photos of the two girls who appear to be deceased in a forest. Right, that knocks me back. Now, listen. Exhibit 52. Brad Holder tried to erase this from his Facebook page. Listen, people, once it's on the internet, it's there. It's there. So the meme that Brad Holder tried to that he erased shows a still shot from the movie Goodfellas. I've seen that movie. That movie's a classic. And the scene that he's showing from Goodfellas are the main characters moving a dead body from one place to another. So if you've seen Goodfellas, right, then you know that they moved Billy Batts's body, and I think they actually took him to a wooded area. See, Rochelle and Simon know a lot about this. Now, the meme says this: your real ones don't judge you or ask a bunch of questions. Then there's the image of the Goodfellas moving the bodies. They help you move the body and never speak of it again. Is Brad Holder saying, please make me a suspect? Say no. Me and mine said nobody watch Fish Swim. So I do think, and Brad Holder saying he's really not sure, how many times he met Abby. He may have met Abby. It can get squirrely because the police are asking you about a murder. You can get squirrely because the police are asking you about the murder of, dead children. Or you can get squirrely because you're guilty. Now, 12 hours after Abby and Libby went missing, 2 o'clock in the morning, Brad Holder posts on Facebook that his testosterone is through the roof. 12 hours after the girls went missing, he says his testosterone is through the roof. He deleted that Facebook post too. But there were people that were watching his Facebook page, and they were reporting this to the police. That Facebook has sent more people to prison. So I don't know if what the defense is saying is true. I definitely think that Brad Holder, possibly Patrick Westfall, I think they could be alternate suspects. But like Simon said, Amber Holder's statements have to be vetted. The defense says that Brad Holder's alibi was not completely vetted by investigators. That Liggett just decided Richard Allen is our guy. But I'm going to tell you something. The bullet found at the crime scene matching Allen's gun and the purported confessions, even though they're problematic, Richard Allen is not in the clear. So Elvis Fields is the guy I heard about in Rushville, Indiana. Rushville. So Elvis has admitted to participating in the murders and to being part of a quote gang, providing intimate details of the crime scene that the defense says only the killer or participant in the murders would know. Listen, I kind of think that Elvis Fields is one of those people who want to be a part of something. No, me and mine, I don't have any reports of them at the park, but I'm working my way through this. Legend said, what? Yes, his name is Elvis Fields. He lives in Rushville, Indiana. And he was mimicking Brad Holder's Facebook posts. It sounds like he is a fan of Brad Holder on Facebook. And yes, I told you, I have actually worked high profile cases. And if you study high profile cases, There are people who will try to insert themselves, and there are false confessions. So Elvis feels, told both of his sisters that he took part in the murders, and that because he took part in these murders, that he had a brother and that he was part of a gang. So, you know, Elvis, the police did get Elvis's DNA. And once the police get Elvis's DNA, Elvis asked police if he could explain why his spit might be on one of the girls and would he be in trouble. If he could explain why his spit might be on one of them, right? Would he be in trouble? And then he told his sister that he spit on one of the girls. And according to the defense, Elvis Fields knew intimate details about the crime scene. Exactly, legend. How would Elvis Fields know intimate details about the crime scene? Well, one thing is he's following Brad Holder on Facebook. And it looks like Brad Holder has intimate knowledge. But, if Brad Holder has friends in law enforcement, could he have known about the crime scene because he possibly has friends in law enforcement who told him things? Right? Or did he participate? So Brad Holder and Elvis Fields, they do have another connection, and that's this guy, Johnny Messer. But Elvis lied to the police. He said I don't know Johnny. Elvis denied knowing Johnny Messer. Now, Elvis Fields and Johnny Messer sound like two usual suspects out of a 1950s gangster film. You know, and there was a witness that said they saw him near the mailboxes on the opposite side of the bridge, Rochelle said, at 8:30 a.m. on February 13th. I'm looking hard at Brad Holder. You know, so the defense is saying that law enforcement officers also write that at first Elvis seems like he had no connection to Delphi, Indiana, or Logansport, Indiana. And Rushville, Indiana is 125 miles from Delphi. But, we're sitting right next to each other on Facebook, right? So, the police did look at Elvis's Facebook page. And, but he was emulating, the defense says, Brad Holder's Facebook page. And that's what it sounds like to me, that he was emulating Brad Holder's Facebook page. Why is Brad Holder allegedly scared to death of Patrick Westfall? Hi, D. So, Rochelle, Simon, one of these days, one of y'all are going to have to get up here with me, and we're going to have an entire, discussion. So I wanted to talk about the Vinlanders. Am I saying that right? The Vinlanders. So these four troublemakers, I'm gonna call the Vinlanders. So what do you guys think? Holder's son Logan, was dating Abby. And if Elvis Fields doesn't sound like he's all there mentally, then you're spot on, right? So the defense is thinking Elvis Fields, he is, quote, mentally infirm. Nice way of saying, he's not all there. And they believe that Brad Holder recruited Elvis Fields. And if you listen to what Elvis Fields allegedly told his sisters, then those murders and that rituals would be, I guess, so that he could become an overnight. So the police says that, Holder's alibi cleared him. And the defense, like I said, said that it wasn't really vetted enough. Now, Susan Case, she She works human resources at Brad Holder's job. Okay. And, that's Liberty Landfill. And, Susan Case says that Holder's time card shows that he clocked in at 4:55 a.m. and clocked out at 2:45 p.m. And she says she's the only one, Chase, that could manipulate that time card. And Susan Chase says there's a security camera on site. But, Deputy Rogers said that Case said that Brad Holder drives a junky red truck to work with a G on the front bumper. Case said that the security camera at the scales may have picked up that red truck coming and going on that date. And that Case advised that Holder stays on the property for his lunch break. So he doesn't leave for lunch. If he was at work all day and he was at work until 2:45 p.m. on February 13th, then, you know, he has a tight alibi. But the defense is wondering the first thing I wonder. Did somebody clock in and out for Brad Holder? Right? Where's the video? Did Susan Chase watch the video? So I'm going to show you guys really quick. I think I found it. What the defense says that it can't find. Because when you're looking at Brad Holder, right, and the fact that his son, Logan, was dating Abby, if you're the police, what do you want? You want their cell phones. You want their cell phones. Because cell phones are, cell phones give a location. The GPS is working. Even if we turn off MapQuest, generally the GPS is working. Let me see if this is the right document. You see that, D? I'm getting pretty good at that. Well, listen. I've held you guys for about 45 minutes. So, and I do want to talk about those cell phones, but I think actually I'll do that on weekend sidebar. So I didn't mean to add in add a teaser and not come through with it. But, with everything that you all have heard about Brad Holder, I figured Elvis wasn't right in the head. With everything you've heard about Brad Holder, his connection to Abby, his son dating her, the practice of onanism, and his terror of Patrick Westfall. I don't know. I think that I'd really like to know if people can clock in and out for other people and if his truck is on that video. But I'll see you guys this weekend. Say, Simon, he's pretty normal for Indiana. Yeah, Brad lives in Rushville, Indiana. So, but anyway, I'm going to let you all go. But I do want to finish talking, about the 3 cell phones this weekend on the weekend sidebar. And I want to ask you guys after that weekend sidebar, do you think that the defense not having Brad Holder's interviews by police that they were accidentally recorded over? That, you know, do you think that's enough to where a double homicide charge should have been dismissed? I mean, the defense asked for a dismissal based on destroyed evidence. And I mean, that's not the only thing the defense is saying is destroyed, but it would be exculpatory evidence. Exculpatory meaning it can lend credence as to whether a person is likely guilty or likely not guilty. It could change a jury's mind. It's the type of evidence that could change a jury's mind. So, you know, other than Elvis sounding like he's out of a 1950s movie, and even the name Patrick Westfall, this is a cast of characters, the Vinlanders. So, thank you everybody for stopping by, and I hope I'll see you this weekend. Rochelle, if I drop that link, You are more than welcome to grab it, Miss Rochelle D. So I hope I'll see you all at the weekend sidebar. Good to see you, D. Bye, everybody. Have a good evening.